All right, it says we're live. I'm going to believe the internet. Shashwat, welcome back to Spotlight India. This is becoming a thing, and I love it. How you
Thank you
doing?
so much. Thank you. I'm doing fine, and thank you so much again for inviting me. It's a huge honor for me to be here again, invited. And speaking about my favorite actor, so it's a bonus.
Well, we're going to be talking about a few things today. We will talk about Fan from 2016, starring Shah Rukh Khan, who is someone that you've been, in our messaging back and forth and some of the
Yeah,
conversations you've had, you keep mentioning this guy as like your
yeah,
favorite star. I'm like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't,
yeah.
I don't understand. After having watched one movie and one behind the scenes making of the movie, I totally get it because he's one of my favorite stars too. There's just something, he has
Yeah,
that star power
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
like,
Exactly,
wow.
exactly.
um, but so we're going to be talking about that, but and we're also going to be talking about your new film, Breaking Barriers, which comes out very soon. So you'll
Yeah,
have some stuff to talk about that at the end of the show. But first, as we did with our previous conversation, I want to talk about you and what you're doing as an artist, as a filmmaker. You make a lot of short films, and you've got a documentary coming out, as I mentioned, in June. But I want to take you all the way back to 2023 with a film that
2020. Yeah,
2020.
2020 actually.
It is 2023 now. It's
Yeah,
early here, folks. This is
yeah,
I've barely had my coffee today. um,
yeah,
but okay, it's a film that you helpfully helped me pronounce before we went
yeah.
live. So I'm going to try and get this right. It's Shubecha, which
Yes, yes.
translate
Yeah,
to
you've got it
good
correct. You've
wishes.
got it correct. Yes,
Excellent.
that's absolutely true.
So yeah, it translates to good wishes, and it's a film about, and you can watch this on your YouTube channel, along with your other shorts, and I'll definitely have a link to that down below. Um, it's about a guy who, it's his birthday, and he's kind of posting online like, "Hey, it's my birthday," and kind of
Yeah,
anticipating getting likes and social media attention for that. But then I don't want to give anything away, but finding out that social media connection isn't all it's cracked up to be, and good old
yeah,
fashioned human relationships are what matter. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so, where in your filmmaking journey, in your filmography, where is this? Is this your, second, third? Where is
I
this?
I think this was my fourth, I think third or fourth film. I think if I'm not, yeah, this was my third film. No, fourth. This was my fourth film. After there's one film called Dosh Taka, which I didn't act in. That was the first film I didn't act in myself. And after that, Shuvecha came in. Like Shuvecha released, or it released on the 14th of March 2020. So it coincides with my father's birthday. So again, that's the reason why it released on 14th of March 2020, because it was my father's birthday, and a film with on the subject of birthday. And just 14 after 14 March 2020, I think on the 16th of March 2020, the world changed. The world, like the whole narrative of the world changed, and it was COVID lockdown. So yes, that's when it released.
Now, I did catch that. I think the main character looks at a thermostat or a clock or something, and it shows the date. And I did notice it was 3/14 or 14/3, as you put it.
Yes.
But my connection was, I didn't know it was your dad's birthday, but I was
No, no,
thinking
no,
of the
that
math.
nobody knows. That's a trivia.
Right, but I was thinking about pi, the mathematical number pi,
Okay.
314. I thought maybe that's some significance somehow, but it wasn't. But that's fine. Um, so I was gonna ask you about that because yeah, it's 2020. It's a coincidence, I guess, as this came out 2 days before
Yeah.
COVID lockdowns and all that. But I do notice sort of a through line in some of your other work that I've seen. You did the movie about the lockdown, the people kind of doing their own
Yes.
social media entertainment during lockdown and finding connection that way. But why? Yeah, I want to get into the making of the film too, but just
Yeah.
thematically, why
Yes.
is human connection so important
Yeah.
to you? Especially, I mean, you're a younger guy, and you seem to
Yes.
tell movies about people of your generation, except
Yes.
for the Night Walkers, which we talked a bit
Yeah.
about last time, which was
Yeah.
was excellent too. But what is it about that sense of connection that you're trying to get across in your work?
Well, actually, the thing is that what you saw in Shubhecha, that actually happened with me. So the thing is, it was my birthday actually, And the thing is, there is this app known as WhatsApp. So which
Hmm.
in the film also, it's a messaging app. It's very popular in India. I know it's not used much in the states, but it's a very popular messaging app in India. And since in WhatsApp also there is this feature of giving statuses, which stories, Instagram kind of Instagram stories and everything happens. So in WhatsApp also you can give all these stories. So whenever it's somebody's birthday over here, in fact, I think it's all over the world. It's common. It's pretty. It's now. I think it's a standard unwritten rule that if it's your birthday, people wish you your birthday in those WhatsApp statuses. Now I was in grade 11 during that time, and I had just got WhatsApp. Like I had just installed WhatsApp few just 1 year back in my phone. So I kind of expected that, in my like in my birthday, like I have so many people, I know so many people, so in my birthday there will be flood of messages coming in, like flood of messages. People will be posting my photos in social media and wishing me happy birthday and everything. So because I genuinely didn't know that this thing, but then so I was awake at 12 a.m. and I was like, I was really waiting that okay, something is about to come, something is about to come. And I was very surprised that wait a minute, nothing is happening. Why? Like people know that it's my birthday, people know that it's like, this day is my birthday. I've told it to my friends, they have okay, wished me earlier, but no messages came in. And yes, then later I understood that okay, for getting that kind of treatment, you also need to put statuses yourself for others birthday. So that's again a kind of a joke, but many people again do that. So like I'm not against anything or anything, but that's a kind of a new social convention which is followed, that in your birthdays you wish in social media. So I was very kind of, I was very I was very surprised that my friends who know that it's my birthday, they're not wishing me at 12 a.m., because now again wishing at 12 a.m. is a thing, which I agree that it sounds very immature of me right now, but still I was very surprised. The next day, which in the morning, so I was very shocked that wait a minute, I see my friends, if some of my friends birthday is there, everybody is wishing them in their statuses, and suddenly it's my birthday, and why am I being left out, what did I do? So but the next day what really shocked me was like the person who plays the role of the driver in the film, he was actually our driver in real life. So he used to take me to school from class 4 to class 10, so for a very long time. So he's been in the family for a very long time. So his name is Uttam Shamanto. So he was our actual driver. So he wished me happy birthday, and I was very surprised that he remembers my birthday, whereas my friends, for like whereas I was seeking validation in social media, but like this, it can be called as a sense of a false validation for my own satisfaction in that way. And I was very shocked that yes, this wish is so much better than getting 300 wishes on WhatsApp or 300 wishes on any social media platform. Because what happens is that if you put a story on your birthday saying that today is my birthday, other people also see that, then they start wishing you. So the number of wishes may be more, but the depth is not there. So those people even don't know that it's your birthday, but they just wish you because they have seen that it's your birthday and stuff like that. But now it's a social convention, and many times even, yeah, by the way, the only time I put up wishing a status, like happy birthday status, is on Shah Rukh Khan's birthday, even though he's not in my contact list. I do that because I'm his big fan. So that's the only time I do in Shah Rukh Khan's birthday. It's as if Shah Rukh Khan is watching my status in WhatsApp, but unfortunately he doesn't. So he doesn't have my number yet. So I do that, but others, I like in other cases I generally don't do it. So that's how I got the idea. Well, because it was like my kind of faulty thinking, because I was gauging a friendship between two persons or between n number of persons based on how that person is responding to me in social media, which was very wrong. So which I realized on my birthday, like, this is not how I should gauge my friendship. Because okay, it might happen that one person may forget to wish me on my birthday or may not put up a status, but that doesn't mean that I should gauge it like this way, that you have not put a status or you have not put a story on about me on my birthday, so I am not your friends anymore. So that's how all this idea came in. And yes, then I fictionalized it a lot. Then there was the ending scene where everybody is coming in and everything. So all of those which are happening. So that was dramatized a lot. And I recently had seen Avengers Endgame, so I wanted to do something where all of the heroes are coming in. So that ending scene. So that was kind of my um, thing to do. So that's the story of how Shuvecha actually happened.
It was, it's a very sweet movie. If I had one criticism, I think the music was a bit
Yes.
too like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like a big movie drama
Yeah.
epic
Yes.
throughout the
Yes.
entire thing. I'm like,
Yes.
what is
Yes.
going? I expect to see like soldiers coming over the hill or something like I don't
Yes.
know, but
Yes. Yes. Yes.
but I loved the point of it because I think it's very relatable.
Yes.
Someone who is older, has lived a whole life before the internet and social media, yeah, they tend
Yeah.
to remember birthdays, even if they've written it down in a paper calendar that they flip through
Yeah.
every
Yeah. Yeah.
day. They're like, oh, I'm going to send a card. I'm going to send a message. I'm
Yes.
going to,
Exactly.
if I see them, I'm going to make it a point to see them, wish them a happy birthday. There is a lost art to that. I'm still on Facebook, or Boomer
Yeah.
Book as they might call it, and I see people's
Yeah.
birthdays pop up, and yeah, I'll say happy birthday and stuff. It feels almost like a weird obligation because I know that if
Yes.
I saw them
Exactly.
in person, I'd be like, "Happy birthday," and "How you doing?" Have a whole conversation. But in the busyness of day to day, I'll always at least say happy birthday. But it's always like if I don't say it, it's not like I don't
Yeah.
feel like it or I don't wish them well, but I almost feel like I'm obligated to do it. It's a strange, yeah, it's a very strange time we
Yes.
live in. So I like the
Exactly.
idea of getting back to remembering what's really important is, maybe I will go take a walk or, drive over to see my friend and say,
Exactly.
"Hey, happy birthday." If
Yes.
I
Yes.
can find the time.
Plus plus the thing is that birthdays are very special in a person's life, like yeah, many people don't celebrate their birthday, but it's that one day when you, yeah, even though it's like on your birthday every year you are getting older, or there are many beliefs about birthday, but still generally I'm saying that 95% of the people, they feel nice when you wish them on your birthday. And now the social media, in fact, even during our Nayak live stream I was talking about this, that how it kind of has affected us, that now we gauge friendship based on what a person is posting on social media, or how you like what others think about two people's friendships or relationships on social media. So if you're friends with someone, you have to constantly post updates about them. So like these are the new social conventions. So I was very fascinated by this idea. It's not that I'm against it totally or anything, but I was very fascinated by this idea, and I think that this can be a good story, which I can do it in my complex only with the people I know, and the same people acted. So you have seen my other movies, so the same people are there.
And I recognize the store, the convenience store
Yeah, yeah,
with
yeah,
the shutters.
yeah, yeah. Exactly,
That's
exactly.
like my favorite, one of my favorite background characters now in your
Yes,
movies. It's
yes,
like the bottle of J&B
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Scotch, which you can kind of see, which pops up in
Yes,
giallo
yes.
films. But yeah, I mean, so when you're putting the movie together, like, was it a long shoot? I mean, it seems like a very kind of simple story, but tell me about how long did it take to shoot and edit from concept to the time, like, okay, here's the film.
Well, I actually, the thing is, I wrote the script in around, it took me around 1 month to totally perfect it and everything. So from December to January and stuff I did, and then after my exams were over, I made the films. This film actually took a long time. So it took from, I remember the date. It took from 21st of February to the 13th of March, 6:30 p.m. I still remember the time also. That's when I rendered it finally. So my films usually come out on 12 p.m. So 14th of March, 12 p.m. it came out. So the final version with subtitles and everything you're seeing, that was actually rendered on 13th of March at 6:30 p.m. So that's the final version which you're seeing. So the main reason was, as I like, no, nobody is a professional actor, so they had other commitments, so they had to go to their work. And at that time, Shorish, who acts as the protagonist, he was also in college, so he also had to, he had his projects and all of those things, and work and everything. Plus there was the big factor of that was the first time I was actually making a big film in that way. It's not big now that I look back. It's a very simple story, but the thing is, it had a lot of characters, and at that point of time, it was very difficult for me to pull it off, because the first and foremost there is that digital de-aging thing, so that took a lot of time. So that I will, when you come to the VFX sort of it, I will talk about it. So there is a digital de-aging which we did at zero cost. I actually told it to you when we met for the first time. So about that
Mm-hmm.
VFX thing. Secondly, there was this one shot of these black and white sequences of flashback you see. I still remember. So the shopkeeper, Shudipto Roy, who plays the character of the shopkeeper. So there is this one shot of him just walking across in the road and waving to the kid who is there in the balcony. So there's this one 10-second shot. So at that time we did not have any gimbals or anything, so there was nothing. So what we did was Shorish's car. So we took that car and we closed the roads. We literally closed the roads. And what we did, my by the way, my assistant director at that time was in class 7. So and now right now he's in class 12. So he was in grade 7 at that time. So
Wow.
and my crew consisted of people from grade 3 to grade 5. So their job was to block the cars when we were doing the shot, and he was being managed by a person who is in grade 7 at that time. So grade 7 or 8, I exactly don't remember. So grade 7 or 8, but yeah, he was at that time. So what we did was we shot that for 3 hours, that 10-second shot, because we wanted a smooth shot, and we did not have any gimbals. So we first thought that we'll be doing it on top of a cycle, but there is a road bump ahead. So there's one obstacle which. When if a cart or a cycle goes over it, so the camera was shaking. So what we did, that we realized that we have to drive the car at a very high speed so that the bump effect is minimized, and then later in post we'll be reducing that. And at the last, if you very carefully analyze that shot, at the last part there is the assistant director whose name is Tanmay. He's walking across that. So that was actually taken to make a cut point. So I had recently seen Extraction. Actually, I think Extraction. So that's actually a oneer. I don't know if it released during that time or it released in 2021. But
It was
there was a
about the
film
same
I
time,
saw.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw a film. There was a oneer. So he actually walked over there at that time. There is a cut happening, and then opening the car, and then directly I'm following him over there. So it was like a very choreographed movement, and we came up with that on spot. So we just said that there is 2 hours, and we didn't know that it would take 2 hours, but we were also enjoying it. And by the end of it, everybody was like, please, no more, no more. So I don't want to do this anymore. And in fact, at the ending scene also, it was a again it was very fun. It was very fun shooting that film.
Well, so you closed off this road for a couple
Yeah.
hours. How does
No, no,
that
a
work?
couple of hours. A couple of hours, no. But the thing is that we were doing what we were doing. That short take, it used to take around 10 seconds. Okay, so just for that 10 seconds, we used to just tell the kids that stop all the cars for that. So after that it is done, again they'll be going, and we'll be again setting up the shot, because it took 60 takes. By the way, there is one behind the scenes video. It took us 60 takes to get that shot right for the 10 seconds, and it was so fun.
So it was stop and start 10 seconds
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
over the course of a
Yes.
couple. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes more sense. But man, that's got to be frustrating. Was there any concern that someone's going to get run over in this constant stopping and starting?
No,
Or
no, no, no.
okay,
No, by that time, by that time, people knew that we used to make films. Like now in my complex, everybody knows that there are some bunch of people who makes films. So they were aware that okay, a shooting is happening. So yeah, it's all right. So it's in that sense. But yes, it has caused a lot of inconvenience. Early, it used to cause a lot of inconvenience. And as I told you, na, in India in general, people are mad about movies. So anytime there is a shooting happening, or any film shooting is happening, you would generally see a bunch of people gathered to see the shooting. So generally they don't oppose. So even if you go out I have never shot yet in main roads or places where you require permission. Yeah, this is, I am living in the same neighborhood, so people know me, so they wouldn't oppose anything. But in general also, if you go out and shoot in any in any public location where you actually require the permissions from the state police and everything, over there also it's people are very the people are very intrigued by the concept of shooting, because as you saw in Fan, a star comes in and everybody is following him. So that actually happens in India. So anytime you see a shooting, it's like that.
well, I do. We'll transition to Fan in just a second, but I do want to ask, you know, from Shubecha, what did you take? What was the main lesson or a couple of lessons you took from that film? Being your third or fourth,
Yeah.
short into the next one, or even into what you're working on, 2 and 3 years later.
Well, it was the first film which was it was a very big film in that sense. It taught me how to manage a lot of characters in films, and mostly it was a very new experience for me because for that time I used to in that last scene again. I'm talking. It's not really a spoiler, but again, it's a spoiler in that. So the last scene where everybody's coming. So for that, what we did was we invited 50 people. Okay, we invited 50 people to come, and like everybody loves the idea of shooting, but nobody wants to go through that process of of being. And honestly, I had never done that before, and it's not that we had professional crews that we will be giving them a time that this is when you're ready, this is when you're ready. So what happened for that ending scene is basically, we nobody like everybody showed up on time, but nobody knew that camera has to be set up, so it takes time and stuff. And we also did not anticipate that, yes, these are the practical problems that might arise while shooting a big scene like this. It's not really big in that way, but yeah, there was a lack of planning and everything. So that's why I was very frustrated. Like I was very overwhelmed. Like, oh my god, what do I do? What do I do? And since the actors had also never acted in public place, yeah, they had done theaters and everything, but when you're performing a theater, there is an audience who are aware that, yeah, you're seeing a film and everything like that. But when you are in roads, the people are walking across, and then they're just standing and staring at you like you're shooting, so then you get very conscious. So what we did at the ending scene, what you see actually, the people, they're randomly caught off the streets, like literally randomly caught off the streets. So like, because those who were actually supposed to come, most of them went home because they had not had lunch, so they thought it would be a 5 minute scene, so they went away. So in the final scene, all those 30 people you see, all of them were like, we literally told them, just wait for 5 minutes, your name will come in the film. Just wait for 5 minutes, and we shot it in parts like that. And in fact, there is those smoke, there is those smoke bombs which were blowing and everything. We just had six of that. So two of that we used to just we just used just for testing out. But the main thing was we were also having fun with it. So 2 days back we wasted two of it. While while we were shooting, there were only four more left, out of which three of it totally, two of it did not work. One of it was working, but one kid was passing through. He actually came in the shot. That was a very perfect thing, but it got ruined at the last. There was just one last thing which was remaining. So actually what I had imagined, like, there was a very, what I had imagined was a shot is going to come in like this, camera is coming in, it will be panning, and it will be a 1 hour kind of a thing. But uh, but in the edit process, what I actually did was we added the voiceover. We told that we need a voiceover. Then we added those, past and present, those sequencing match cuts and everything, just to
Mhm.
kind of make it sure that the whole thing is actually ending properly, because this is not the ending I imagined. So yeah, it also taught me that you also need to improvise, because not always what you have in mind, especially when you are making these zero budget kind of movies, where everything, where nothing in fact is in your control. Because what happens is that I am shooting in the road, there is a car on the left hand side of the road today, and I shoot a beautiful scene, a conversation scene, but there is no guarantee that the very next day that car will be over there. That
Right.
car might go that car might be on the right side of the road, there might be a totally different car. So you have to keep these in mind while sometimes scripting. So in my next scripts and everything, I try to minimize the errors, but still I make a lot of mistakes now even.
Well, I mean, you're still young in your career,
Yeah,
and I can tell, as I was kind of raving about the Night Walkers last time. I mean, I can
yeah,
see not that Shubecha is not a fine film in its own right, but you can definitely see the growth between that
yeah,
and the later pictures. So yeah, it's
yes,
exciting stuff. I do want to talk about Fan, and it's kind of fitting that because I didn't know this, but before watching Shubecha, that there would be this sort of connective tissue between the two films. But we go from a kid being kind of upset because no one is wishing him a happy birthday on his social media
yeah,
to a film about a kid who's 25, I think.
yeah, 25 years old.
Gaurav is
Gaurav.
25, and he is obsessed with Shah Rukh Khan's character Aryan, who's a
Yeah,
huge famous movie star, and he impersonates him. He's follows him. He's got magazine clippings all over the
yeah, yeah,
wall. It is the same kind of obsession that people have with celebrity that's been kind of distorted by social media. Oh, this person's on
Yes,
Twitter,
yes,
this person's on Facebook. I can reach out to them and have a conversation. It's just like, knowing them in real life. But it's all
yes.
in some ways an illusion unless you actually get to know that person, in real life.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly. Like they say, never
now I
meet your
do,
heroes. So that's they like they
I,
do say that never meet your heroes. So like that's the kind of thing this film is actually kind of talking about.
and it's funny. I hear mixed stories about that. Some people say, yeah, you definitely don't want to meet your idols. And then you hear
Yeah,
other people say, they're exactly the person I hope they would be. And it's so fun.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but
Exactly.
it's always a gamble, right? Just like
Yes,
independent
yes.
filmmaking.
Yeah,
But okay,
exactly, exactly.
I want to kick this off with a comment we got. Uh,
Yeah. Few days back.
one
Oh
of the
yeah, yeah,
worst
yeah,
movies for an SRK introduction. Now,
yeah.
look, harsh Garg, I will take that in the spirit with which it was intended, and at least I think, and just say if this is one of the worst Shah Rukh Khan movies, then I have a lot of great things to look forward to because I loved Fan. It's
Yeah,
not perfect. And the cutting edge technology that they use,
yeah,
because one thing I didn't mention in setting this up is that the Gaurav character, this 25-year-old boy, is played by the same actor who plays Aryan, who's probably twice his age or
yeah.
significantly older, and they did that through the use of
VFX.
digital wizardry, prosthetic, makeup, wardrobe, hair, all of that stuff. So it's not, two different actors playing two different people. It's the same actor playing two different people across two different ages and experiences. It is, quite a feat. Some of it was a bit uncanny because, as I was starting to say, with cutting edge technology in movies, you put stuff out and then 5 years later, it looks really dated, but you can appreciate what
Yeah,
they were trying to do. I would say in the stills that I've seen for Fan, the de-aging effects for the Gaurav character are not, they don't come across that great. But watching it in the movie, there were only a couple of times where I'm like, when the lighting changes as he walks from this room to
yeah,
this room, you can kind of tell it looks a little funny. And I think they called it a a plumper that they put in his
yeah,
lip
yeah, yeah.
to,
Exactly. Yeah.
for his teeth. That
Yes.
kind of looked like, did someone punch him in the mouth? I don't know. But
Yes.
it's, I thought it was great. And I think I understand why you and apparently a lot of other people are, big fans of Shah Rukh Khan. So tell me about, and you kind of recommended this be the first SRK movie we talk about. What was it about Fan that you responded to, both as a movie lover and also as a
Yeah.
fan of Shah Rukh Khan?
Well, the thing is that yes, that is true. What Harsh has said that in India, like Fan was not one of the most well received of Shah Rukh Khan's films. That is absolutely true. But I personally loved it a lot. I don't like for that is this is the truth that I have a bias maybe for Shah Rukh Khan's film. But in general also, this film did not like for many of his last films were not doing that well in terms of critically as well as in terms of box office collection until in this year 2023 he made a comeback after 4 years of break and released this film called Pathan. So that was his comeback. So for actually understanding this Shah Rukh Khan's film Fan, you actually need to know about the stardom of Shah Rukh Khan. Like I've mentioned a million times, and I'm sure that you also like know because Shah Rukh Khan kind of changed the face of Hindi cinema, the Indian cinema in the 90s. So till the 90s, there have been various phases in the Indian cinema. Okay, so like till 50s and 60s, there was one kind of film being made. In 70s, there is another big star called Amitabh Bachchan. I am sure you might have heard about him. He was in Great Gatsby. He's again a very big superstar, megastar. So Amitabh Bachchan came, and then then there was this kind of films which were which represented the angry young man. So that was what he was called. So actors like all those what you are now seeing in RRR and all these kinds of films where there are over the top characters and those which in India we call that masala films, masala
Right.
cinema, which we call it. So those kind of films started to happen in the 70s and 80s. It was a time of remakes. So from the other parts of India in Hindi cinema, many films started to there were many remakes were being made. And then in 90s came Shah Rukh Khan, who was known as the Romance King of India and still known as King Khan, because he started. He represented an actor. He represented the characters who were very vulnerable, and he was one of the main main lead actor in that sense. In those days, many lead actors or those who were having a fair career in there, they refused to play these anti-hero kind of characters. But Shah Rukh Khan was the first actor who took those risks, so he played the role of anti-hero. In fact, in this film Fan also, there are many of his previous films mentioned, like Dar and Bazigar, where he actually played the anti-hero. And then his very famous film called Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge released, which is the till now, it released in 1995. It is still now running in theaters in Mumbai. So this is the legacy of DDLJ. So that kind of opened up, like that made him a superstar. And then yes, I see. I can actually speak about Shah Rukh Khan for 5 hours. That's the kind of thing I have. So I'm shorting it down a little bit. So all in all, he has, and plus he has experimented in various roles. So like he has, in 2000s and everything. Again, the language of Indian cinema was changing. There was coming of age films. There was a new type of language, and over there also Shah Rukh Khan made various experiments. So there is a film called Swades. There is Chak De India, where again it was not a romantic story where the hero saves the girl from the bad guys, which was what actually Shah Rukh Khan's film used to do in the 90s, which is how he's known as the king of romance in India, by the way, in Indian cinema. Uh, Again changed. So here he in his career he has been always experimenting. So in Fan, actually, if you are truly a Shah Rukh Khan fan, you can find all those references. In fact, there is one scene at the beginning where Gaurav Channa is actually imitating him in a local competition at his colony. So where he is actually playing all the various characters. So all over there, all like those films are actual movies of Shah Rukh Khan which he is referencing. So all of the films, so he puts up a very beautiful play with the help of his parents for his, it's again a low budget filmmaking which he does, a low budget show which he puts up, low budget show which he puts up. So so this Fan is actually, this the character of Gaurav Channa is not just one person, but millions of people all over the world who are like Gaurav represents that. Like Gaurav represents that, that full fans like all over the world, that full kind of, that full what should I say, that full group of fans. It's not a small group. Plus, he is now he's the biggest movie star, the richest actor in the world, and yeah, he's broken a lot of records and everything right now. So that is the reason why, being a fan of Shah Rukh Khan, I personally was very much excited to see the film, and as I said that I may have a bias for Shah Rukh Khan's films in that way also, uh, because I'm such a big fan of him. And the other thing was, this was again a very thriller film. This was a very interesting, cutting kind of a thriller kind of a film, and it actually again translates to what we actually talked about in our last episode with Nayak, that we worship stars. From stars' point of view, sometimes this relationship between a star and a fan becomes very unhealthy. You start to infatuate about them so much that you do not, you forget that even a star is a human. In fact, if you see the character of Aryan, in many times, because he's egoistic, he doesn't do certain things. For example, if you remember that scene where the police officer has come to arrest Aryan at Madame Tussauds for the incident in London, he actually says that I'm going to be nasty. You just you give me handcuffs. I'm not going to walk just like that. So all these kinds of things, from Star's point of view, he is just another fan. So this is a kind of a, the in fact, in the making of the film also, the writers are saying that here there is nobody is good, nobody is bad. It's all about the perspectives. It's like the black and white life. It's again strangely relating to one of my films, but it's like the black and white life. Sometimes from Aryan's perspective, a fan should not be, a fan should respect the private space of a star. But at the same time, a star is made because of his fans. There is a dialogue also in Fans ki मैं जो भी हूँ जहाँ भी हूँ मेरे fan की वजह से हूँ. So that actually translates to, wherever I am, whoever I am today, it's because of my fans.
Right.
If my fans are not there, I'm going to be nothing.
And he uses that, it's a great line, and you get the feeling that Aryan really means it, when he's speaking
Yes.
on the stage, because we do see him, there are several opportunities where we see him either at home with his family or, in private with his like lawyer or publicist or whatever. He doesn't seem mean, like he's putting on a show.
Yeah,
Like he
yeah.
goes out and says, it's all because of the fans. And he gets off stage. He's like, I
Yes.
can't stand these people. But when he does confront Gaurav after Gaurav has assaulted a sort of a rival
Another.
up and coming
Yeah.
movie star because he
Yes.
thinks that would be what Aryan would want. Aryan has the police pick him up, and he goes to see him, and he's all roughed up, and he says, I why would I give you,
In 5
Gaurav
seconds
says,
of my
I
life.
just wanted 5 minutes of your time. And
Yeah.
Aryan says, why would I give you 5 seconds? And it's not just because that's how he treats his fans. It's because this is how he's treating a fan who stepped way over that boundary into breaking the law. And that
Yeah.
unfortunately became sort of the supervillain origin of the rest of the movie, because this scene
Exactly.
happens very early on in the film, and
Yes.
there's a jump of, I think, a year or maybe 2 years, in between
Yeah.
some of the inciting incidents and how things happen. You mentioned the Madame Tussauds wax museum scene. One of the first things we see once we get into the museum, Gaurav has gone in there sort of disguised. He's got the hoodie and the
Yeah.
sunglasses
Yeah.
on, but he's very much in the mode of being Aryan. And that's because he's decided to destroy his hero's
Yes.
reputation in the public. And he goes in and he starts, kind of performing, but getting a little bit, abrasive and handsy with people. Same thing happens at a wedding, I think, later on.
Yes. Yes.
Right. But one of the first things we see in this wax museum, the camera pans across and we see Tom Cruise, his
Yeah.
waxed figure.
Yes.
I thought that's perfect because I'm watching this movie, and I think it really fits with what you were describing as far as Shah Rukh Khan's career. Tom Cruise started off as sort of this romantic, not an anti-hero, but this sensitive, like he was in All the Right Moves, playing a football star. He's in Risky Business,
Yeah.
and then he starts doing Top Gun and all
Top
these
Gun.
action movies. But then he does some more like art house things where he's taking risks, like in
Yes.
Magnolia.
Yes.
And so I can see a lot of parallels
Yeah.
there,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
He's known as the Indian Tom Cruise, by the way. Shah Rukh Khan is like recently many people have been mentioning. I've read many articles where they are mentioning him as the Indian Tom Cruise. So in a way, you are correct.
Well, it's strange because I feel like I understand the comparison, but I still feel like there's a difference. As much as I really love Tom Cruise as a
Yeah.
star, I find that sometimes his acting can feel a bit limited, like he's trying
Yes.
really hard to inhabit a character rather than just being a character. I didn't feel that with Shah Rukh Khan, and maybe that's because he's playing a version of himself. It's kind of easy to, be in that skin. But, I was surprised at the sensitivity. I was also surprised at the brutality. It's not, again,
Yeah.
he's not a mean person, but when you cross a certain line, he's got no tolerance, right?
Exactly.
But the other thing that just astounded me, and it took me out of the movie several times, but in a really good way, I did not understand how I was seeing this performance as Gaurav versus Aryan. Now, watching the making of it makes a lot more sense. And I wonder if this movie would have been more well received if people had understood, like if they'd showed that 14-minute short before the movie,
Yeah.
just because you really see the transformation.
Yeah.
They digitally shrunk the actor's body
Yes.
to play the 25-year-old kind of
Exactly.
scrawny, nerdy version of him. They shrunk his nose, they taped up his face and put in that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
bump, was it the plumper, I think,
Yes.
which
Yes.
didn't always work, but it is astounding, especially when you see them acting together. And it's not just a matter of, oh, they made him look different. Shah Rukh
Yeah.
Khan becomes a completely different character who later in the film plays Aryan, the movie star, the
Yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan part,
Yes.
pretending to be
Yeah.
Gaurav. Kind of
Yes.
his disposition changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think they did any digital foolery because
No.
at
No.
that
No.
point
No.
it was
No.
Shah Rukh Khan playing
Yes.
Gaurav, but
Yes.
he almost looked like he transformed on stage into that
Exactly.
digital
Exactly.
version just through the
Yes.
performance.
In fact, you can draw this parallel to again one a classic movie of the Superman's Christopher Reeves. There is one scene where he transforms, where he just opens the glass, but you can say that he has now transformed into Superman. So that's again very acting, very like that's a sign of a very remarkable and a very professional actor. Another thing, coming to the VFX part of it, like I am his next films after this of his last film before his break in 2018, they released a film called Zero. So Zero broke all the records in terms of VFX. It was not a financial success in that way. It was not even a critical success in that way. But Zero, they in that film he played a dwarf. Okay, so he played a dwarf, a 4-foot dwarf. He played the character of a dwarf, and like I should say, physically challenged kind of a character, and that VFX which they did, that was analyzed by this very famous VFX artist named as Corridor Crew. I don't know if you've heard about them or not, but they are a very popular YouTube channel who do these VFX artist reacts on YouTube. So like their Corridor Crew is a very popular YouTube channel. They do that. So because this film is produced by Red Chillies Entertainment, which is Shah Rukh Khan's own company. So Shah Rukh Khan is also having a VFX company, which is the Red Chillies VFX. So Red Chillies VFX is one of the best VFX companies in the entire world, you can say. India, it's definitely one of the biggest names, and they also do in many Hollywood films and everything. So Red Chillies is always known for experimenting these kind of VFX and pushing it a level further. Like for example, there was one film of Shah Rukh Khan called Ravan, which was a superhero film. Over there also they pushed the boundaries with VFX, and that was released in 2011. 2016 was again with Fan, where they digitally de-aged, and in such a scale nothing had been done in India before. Same thing with Zero. So they made him played a physically disabled character without, in Hobbits and everything. They use the method known as forced perspective, where
Right.
two actors are they're at distance and they place the camera in certain angle. But in Zero, what they did, I'm actually not talking about Fan. I'm coming to that. But in Zero, what they did was they shot each scenes 5 times. So there is also a making of the film, a 6 minute making. You should watch that after watching the film. So they used the technology known as Techno Dolly, which was a programmed camera which repeats the motion. This is a very common technology which is used in many of the VFX films now. So all of the Marvel films, they use it for shooting the clean plates of the film. So because then later they change it in post. So what they did was that Shah Rukh Khan actually spoke with all the actors. The actors used to stand in a foot in a pedestal, 2 foot above Shah Rukh Khan, so that they could get the eye lines matched, and then digitally they used to stitch everything together and make him short. So in each frame it was like photoshopping, which each frame it was hand. They, like, you could go into the more technical details on their VFX video where they did the breakdown. So that's how they did it. In similar ways they did it in Fan. So in Fan it was a mix of prosthetics and VFX together. So over there, there is also they are reducing his shoulders, they're reducing his shoulders width and everything, and then making him younger. And there the VFX supervisor, I think Harry Hingorani is his name. So he's also saying, and other than him, there is somebody known as Mr. Ketan. I actually don't remember the names, but they're also saying that it is very easier to make up a character and make him old, but it's very difficult to do it in reverse way, that is to make them younger.
And they were also talking about his nose. They
Yes,
had initially
exactly.
done some tests with, trying to, because he's got a very prominent, nose. He's kind of famous for it, I guess. They wanted to reduce that, but they couldn't do it with prosthetics because, as the director said, or maybe it was the effects guy said, you can only build up with prosthetics. You can't
Yes,
reduce.
exactly.
So, but then
Exactly.
they showed, I don't know if it was 3D Max or Lightwave, or I don't even know if they use those programs anymore.
Yes.
But whatever the digital
Yeah.
program was that they were using,
Yeah.
they showed how they digitally reduced
Yes,
his
yes, yes. They
nose, and
reduce the,
it's
yeah.
moving, and there's, like, you can see the mesh and everything, but still,
Yes.
like, my gosh, there's so much of Gaurav
Yes.
in this film in all different kind of environments and lighting. I mean,
Yes.
it feels like it must have taken 20 years to do this, but it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it was yeah, they in the making also they say that the scripting and everything have been in the work for like 10 years, but VFX comes at a lot later part of it. So again, but we have to keep this in mind that this was a very high budget film. So in general, Indian cinema, you wouldn't see this level of VFX in all the films,
Right.
because not that much money is spent in these technical departments as of now. Yes, that is definitely changing. You have seen RRR. RRR had a pretty impressive VFX and it was totally done in India. Red Chillies did not do it, but it was like Srinivas Mohan, who is the VFX supervisor, his companies and everything. They did in Hyderabad. So yeah, so it's definitely improving. We are also, like, as I said, the quality of VFX and everything is improving. But yes, Shah Rukh Khan, in a way, yes, Shah Rukh Khan has been doing it for a very long time. In that sense, you can say that experimenting it with these technologies and everything.
Um, the thing that really I noticed this in the film, but it came across in the making of, is not only did he have to spend 4 or 5 plus hours a
Yeah,
day in the makeup, and the head of makeup, Greg, I think his name was,
yeah,
he had
Greg,
said
Greg.
that typically a big makeup job, on a film like this, you want to do like 10, a max of 20 days. They shot those scenes for 70 days, and it was
Yeah,
him in the chair, and you can tell that wasn't his favorite thing to do.
yeah,
But he also had to act. So
yes,
he's got these really long days. Some of it, and it really comes across because they do a montage of like he has to
yes,
act doing this and this and this, and they show the scene where Gaurav gets his head put through a car window
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's right. He still has to come up with a performance, a very
Yes,
different performance from the character he's probably most used to playing to this
yes,
obsessed young fan. It really is an achievement. What if you had to guess, maybe you've read up
yeah,
on it or you've talked to people, why wasn't this film as big a success? Was it a flop, or did it just not do as well as expected? Did it do
yeah.
okay? And why do you think that is?
Well, the thing is that this is totally from what I had heard from people and everything, is that the thing is, in India, what happened now, it's changing a lot. Again, we are again it's changing the language of cinema. Is that the main thing is that many people want to see first and foremost, this fan is not exactly a conventional type of an entertainer. It's not an entertaining film in that way. So there's a layered kind of a story happening. And the reason why this star system is so prevalent in India, and Nayak also we talked about, is that you know anything is justifiable if it is done by a star. So people want to see their stars, or they want to see their stars or their favorite stars or everything in larger than life roles, not in these. This is a very niche film.
Mm,
So people, and still in 2016 Netflix came to India, so that's when the rise of OTT slowly started in India. So even though there was not an OTT, and the thing is that earlier people used to go to film theaters a lot, but now slowly with the advent of YouTube and every all of these other forms of content, uh, uh, people are stopping to, they're not going to the theaters anymore, until and unless it's their favorite star, and it's they are seeing their favorite star in a larger than life, which entertains them for for a 3 hour. Normally in India, those entertaining films are like normally at the time of 2 hours 50 minutes to 3 hours, so that's the usual runtime. But this was more of a very niched film. And what happens is that in India also, these films in which these stars you act, generally they are family entertainers. So you can watch them with your kids and everybody, and just have, you don't need to think much about it. You are just going to have a very entertaining time. And in general, so that all of these factors were one of the main reasons why people were not exactly connecting with the film, because because at least that's what I think, and many of the reports I have read online and everything also, as to why the film was not doing good. But as of now, if you see in 2023 2022, this film is again kind of gaining a cult status, and many people are again revisiting it and appreciating it. In fact, this has happened with SRK's film earlier also. As I told about that film called Swades. So Swades is, I'm just telling the small premise, that is, a NASA scientist comes to his village and helps, in development of the village. So when that film actually came out, it was a box office flop. So it didn't work at all. But now it has gained a cult status. Now it's one of the best films of his career. It's known as. So slowly fan is also going into that direction. But when it came out during that time, it for for various reasons it didn't work. And it's been, even I even know people who have said that I'm not going to watch any other Shah Rukh Khan film after this film has came out. So even to the extent of this, that's actually true, because they did not want, this film was not very well received by the fans, or by the actual fans for whom this was made. So because it was very experimental in that way. So most of the films which he did in during that time were very offbeat, and they were not really working at the box office. But then again, Pathan came in, and my god, that I watched it 4 times in theater, by the way. Pathan, I watched it 4 times in theater. And that's where you can actually, Shah Rukh Khan made such a big comeback. Like, it has made, like, it has broken all the records. It's like the highest grossing Hindi film of all time right now. So it has broken all the records. It has, like, and people were like shouting and hooting in the theaters. I had to just watch it twice because I could not hear the dialogues. because it's a Hindi film and there are no subtitles in the first screening and everything. In the later screenings, they had to add the subtitles because the first time I saw it first day, first show. So I couldn't hear anything because because people were rooting for Shah Rukh Khan to come back in a grand way, and he did that. And my God, he was like, it's and the more I talk about it, as I said, I can go on for 6 hours and everything. So Pathan is like the king is back. So everybody, like the whole country, was happy that the king is back because because a generation grew up looking up to him. It was his fan, and few of his last few of his movies were not working properly, and then suddenly, and then after a 4 year break, and then he makes a grand comeback, over the top, larger than life, exactly as a star should. In star should, in the sense I'm saying that in the perception or in the mind of the audience, how it is that the star should, he exactly did that. There's an over the top of the action. There is, there's dialogues, there's those star dialogues happening, as you see in RRR. It's both the films, they are not absolutely comparable at all, but I'm telling in that terms that it's actually a entertaining masala film, so there's a rewatch value and everything. In Fan, that is not the case. Fan is a more of a niche kind of a film, which may be the, those who are very deep into filmmaking, into this technical stuff, and analyzing the two characters and everything, maybe film geeks like us may like, but in general audience, that was not the reception.
I understand that. It is kind of disappointing to hear that though, because when you've got someone like Shah Rukh Khan who's got a huge fan
Yes.
base, people love him as a movie star.
Yes. Oh
I
yeah.
think.
By the way, I forgot to mention one thing. That birthday scene which you are seeing, he's waving that hand. He actually does that on his every birthday. He
Oh
actually
wow,
comes out like in India, many stars do that. They wave to their fans. So Amitabh Bachchan also does that in front of his house, and that shot you are seeing, that is actually in front of his house. So if you see in Shah Rukh Khan's Twitter, you can go. He does these ask SRK, which is, by the way, he's known as SRK. So that's his name, like his acronym, you can say, SRK. SRK, and he does that. So on every birthday or on any festival, he actually comes out and waves to his fan, and millions of fans come to visit him just to catch a glimpse of him. So
that's
that's
really
the
cool. I wondered if that was based on something that actually happens, or if that's just for the movie. It's really neat that it is
no, no,
something
that
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 actually
happens.
happens. In every occasion or birthday is fixed. So like birthday, he will be out. So that's that day, that's when actually the roads are blocked and everything, because Shah Rukh Khan is going to come and wave.
Wow.
So
But what I was starting to say was that you know being a movie star and building a career based on what fans come to know and love you for, that's great. That's how you do
yes,
it. But I think fans, and I don't want to speak for all fans, but I think there needs to be kind of an understanding that an artist is an artist, and
yes,
they can't just do the same thing over and over again, or else they're going to
yeah,
get
yeah,
bored. They have to have the freedom to experiment, to try different things. I love that he's got his own visual effects company.
yes,
He's trying to help people push the boundaries, not only just for his own projects, but it sounds like just for cinema in
yeah, yeah, yeah,
general. So
yeah.
I like that this movie is being, perhaps, as you say, rediscovered and appreciated. Now that people are like, I don't want to see that, and then maybe word of mouth is like, no, it's actually really good, and he's
Yes.
good at. I was not expecting. I don't know that this is exactly a masala film, but I do notice that there are different kinds of, not genres, but it dips in and out. So there's a bit of a
Yes.
romance with Gaurav wanting to, get with this girl who, in the mall that he works at. There's kind of a tender story with family, Gaurav's
Yes.
family and also Aryan's family. There's couple of action scenes that seem
Yeah.
to come out of left field.
Yes.
There's this great chase and a
There is no
confrontation
song and
between.
dance. There is no song and dance.
There's the talent
There's this
show.
Jabra fan. No, but that is not. There is one song known as Jabra fan, but that was released as a promotional song. But in general, as you see that actors are dancing, this film had no song. That was another very big reason why people didn't go to watch in theaters.
Interesting. Well, I
Yeah.
do want to talk about that action scene though, like where Gaurav and Aryan are fighting. It wasn't the rooftop. I think it was leading up to that, and Gaurav gets onto some scaffolding,
Yes.
and
Yes.
he's very precariously placed up there, and Aryan just like grabs the leg and starts like shaking it, and making Gaurav kind of fall down. I felt like I felt like the actor was like the character was an actual danger. It's
Yeah.
so thrilling. There's a roof, not a rooftop, but an apartment
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
faced across, very narrow, very weirdly placed ledges. I felt like I was watching something out of, like, Super Mario Brothers or something, jumping from
Yes,
ledge
yes,
to ledge.
yes, yes, yes.
So it's
When the police were also chasing him,
right.
they were jumping from ledge to ledge.
Right. And so it feels like this movie got a bit of something for everything, and it doesn't resolve itself the way that I think a lot of
Yes.
movies do. I don't want to get too spoilery, but this could have had a very dark ending, a very
Yeah.
tragic ending. And in a
Yeah.
way it is, but it also, like, by the time the credits roll, I felt kind of at peace for both of these characters who
Yeah.
start off, kind of very troubled and uncertain of both of their positions kind of in the world, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. In fact, again, another factor which was that this film technically is a tragedy. There's no happy ending happening for both the characters. In fact, when at the last scene he's again coming out to wave, even he is confused whether he can see a reflection of Gaurav. He's just looking up that, see, one day when I was over here and you didn't, if only you gave me 5 minutes of your life, none of this would have happened. So he's also in guilt, and obviously parents lost their 25-year-old son. And and again, as I told, that in India in general, people go to the theaters to get themselves entertained. So you don't really want to go with your with the kids and the 7 year 8 year old people, and then over there in with such a deep impact, and which actually forces you to think that, oh my god, but it's as I said, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. From fans point of view, yeah, he may be a psychopathic, but to some extent some of his actions are also justified. But yeah, definitely not killing anybody or doing or defaming you or anything. But yeah, from his point of view, he's like, I just wanted 5 minutes. Definitely from Aryan's point of view, it's definitely, he's also saying that I am a star. It's my wish that for him, if you really analyze it, it's like saying that it doesn't matter if I lose one fan in millions of fans. That's what his thought process is. It doesn't matter. But then again, Aryan is that Gaurav is challenging him that it's each one of these fans which made a difference in your life. So even if one fan is missing or one fan is challenging you, you should also keep that in mind. So there are a lot of analysis, a lot of psychological analysis which you can do. So the more you think about this film, the more deeper and deeper it gets.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about it. I mean, yeah, you can see both sides of it, but the problem is if every one of those millions of fans just wants 5 minutes of his time or
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly,
that
exactly.
he would have to live 6 lifetimes. It reminds me of two kind of anecdotes I'll give. Alan Moore, who's a famous British comic book writer. I don't know if you're
Yeah.
familiar with him. He wrote
Oh,
Watchmen and did a run on Swamp Thing and stuff. A lot, very influential. Back in the 80s, I think he used to do comic book conventions, and then he stopped doing them because he had a nightmare of just hands reaching out and grabbing for
yeah,
him because everybody wanted a piece of him. And then more recently, this week, I think Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker in
yeah, yeah,
Star
yeah.
Wars, there's footage of him in a car being mobbed by people, like
Yes,
shoving
yes.
pictures and posters into his car to get
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
autographs. And I guess he was, injured or hurt or something like that, or
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah,
much
yeah.
scared because it's frightening stuff. It's like,
Yes,
just
exactly.
what is going on here? Um, but yeah, this movie fan, I think, helps to put into perspective, what that relationship is between movie star and, fanatic, and
Yes.
what that balance should be, and that things can get out of whack. Maybe not to the point of home invasions and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stealing identities
Exactly.
and stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, you got to have
Yes.
that clean boundary. Now, before we talk about breaking barriers and some news there, we
Yeah.
do have a bunch of comments, more comments I want to
Yes.
get to. I'll just kind of go through from the beginning of the show. Mrs. Chester says, "Happy belated birthday." I guess that would be to your to your dad. Um, we also got Jackson Films sends a heart. All right.
Yeah.
Harsh writes back in, all SRK movies in which SRK uses high-level VFX are good for their effects. SRK
Yes.
truly shines in My Name is Khan, Devdas, and Chakde, etc.
Yes. Chuck the India. Yes. Chuck the India was told about.
Cool. Cirque ruled 90s and 2000s. Past 2007, I enjoyed Amir movies among the Khan. I
Yeah. So
don't.
like the thing is that there are three main, not main, I wouldn't say main, like there are three big superstars, and they are known as the three Khans. So it's Amir Khan, Salman Khan, and Shah Rukh Khan. So all of them are great stars. Apart from being actors, they're like great stars, like not only just being actors like that. So that's what he's referring to, that amongst the all the Khans, like the three Khans, there are other Khans actors also, but they're known as the three Khans of Bollywood, which is Salman, Amir, and Shah Rukh Khan. So all of them are born in the same year, 1965. Their age is same, and so they're the three superstars of Bollywood, if you would say in that manner. So yes, so that's what he's referring
All born in the same year, man. That's
to.
wild. And then Pathan is a great crowd pleaser. Don 2 is better. Thoughts?
Yes, yes. In a way, that is true, because Pathan is, as I said, because Pathan is where people, it's exactly a masala film. The story may be a little bit debatable. By story I mean the narrative it uses. If you see the screenplay structure or anything, but it's so enjoyable, and it's really great. In fact, the screenplay is also tight in that sense, because in general the kind of spy movies are made in India, it was definitely a breath of fresh air in that sense. Yeah, in Hollywood maybe that has been done before, but for the general Indian audience, it was something which was very unusual in Indian cinema. And Dawn 2, yes, Dawn 2 is again a sequel of Dawn, and Dawn is a which I talked about, which the film I actually saw of SRK, which I also told you uh, uh, in our messages and last time, that Dawn is the first film I saw in theater, which I remembered, and Dawn 2 is a sequel of that. So yeah, Dawn 2 is again it's again a very it's a great film. In fact, you should watch all the SRK films.
Well, I want to. I'm going to turn this into Spotlight
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
SRK and just talk to you
Yeah,
about
yeah,
all of his films.
you should do that, Spotlight SRK.
All right, man. Well, okay, we're gonna close it out, but before we go, we gotta
Yeah.
talk about your next film, Breaking Barriers. Now, I've seen a bit of it. I want to see the whole thing. You released a trailer recently, and yeah, June 2nd is the day that it's coming out. That's
Yes,
correct? That's still the
hopefully.
date.
Yeah, hopefully it's coming out that day, like it's coming out on that date, and yeah, let's hope for the best and all fingers crossed.
So where are you at? Is it done? It's in post, or like what more do you have to
it's
do on it?
it's in the later stage of post productions, so like more like 95% of it is done, but like the finishing touches and sound editing, mostly the work on sound is going on. So the sound editing and stuff like that is happening.
Right, and it's Breaking Barriers. It's the story of IIT Madras,
Yes.
um, and yeah, it's very exciting. I'm excited for you to be able to put this out there and for people to see it. Have you gotten sort of any other like reactions to people, seeing it, and maybe at the school, or have you showed it to them yet, or is there going to be like a big
No,
screening for the
actually.
school?
Actually, not yet. We are supposed to start it very soon, like from this weekend and next week onwards, like to show the rough cut and everything to people. So yeah, we are very anxious and nervous about it. That how will the film be received? And yeah, with the cast and crew, we have done few screenings, and yeah, they have worked on the movie. So they definitely kind of they root for the film, but until and unless it's out in the it's released to the general audience, it's really difficult to say, because it's a very big, and it's a very big topic, and it's covering a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things. So that's why let's see what happens. And you have seen the first, you have seen a little bit of it, so I hope that you kind of like it when the whole film comes out.
Well, I mean, that's, we talked about this a little bit ago. I mean, that was sort of my
Yeah,
problem, is that, I can't just watch,
yeah,
20 minutes or whatever. I got to know how it ends
exactly,
or how it
yeah, exactly.
continues and then ends. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. The whole
So,
film is about, it's about around 45 to 50 minutes long, and yeah, it's in fact we are just starting the screenings just day after tomorrow or tomorrow, most probably. It's like the early cut with the people from my college and everything like that.
awesome. Well, congratulations. Good luck with that. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to
thank you so
watching it,
much.
and for blasting it out to everybody, on or
Yeah, yeah,
around June 2nd, when it's available.
yeah,
So
yeah,
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 Shashwat, thanks again for hanging out, for talking about Fan and your
yeah.
your
Thank you.
movies. We're going to have you back to talk about Breaking Barriers, along with perhaps some
Yes.
special guests coming up in the near future.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, I would love to have you back in the future to keep talking about Indian cinema if you're down for it. Maybe some
Yeah,
SRK.
yeah. Sure. It's a huge honor that you invite me in this Spotlight India episode. So thank you so much for that. And I today I enjoyed it really because again, as I said, it was SRK. So I was very looking forward to this episode, and thank you for that.
Well, I was looking forward to it too, even before I watched the movie, and now I'm an SRK fanatic after one movie and one behind the scenes making of. So if
Yeah,
that says anything, all right, man. Thank you. Take care. Have a
yeah,
great evening. I'm gonna have hopefully a great day because it's still early here, but
yeah.
that's what you get for live streaming across continents. But this is
Yeah,
awesome, man. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you
yeah.
later.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, I pressed the wrong button. I've been
Ah.
doing this a long time, I swear. I was hitting at leave studio instead of end broadcast. We would just been sitting here.